Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we are going to be covering a little bit about async task and creating threads in Android Studio, which is a very exciting topic because I was so happy to learn about this, uh, a way that we can create a thread and so your main UI it doesn't crash, because a lot of times I just start my app and I try to do something and it says, oh, unfortunately your app has stopped running. And I figured out what causes that. It's because you're running too much stuff on the main thread, which will cause that thread to slow down and not be able to take user input anymore, and that which causes your app to pretty much crash and not be very functional. And so today I'm just going to give an example of using an async task so that doesn't happen. We can do things on a background thread, and so the main thread will not get hung up on having to do uh, processing so much stuff. All right, so I've just started out creating a basic activity. This is the main activity. That's the only thing I'm going to be in. This is a little bit what it looks like. Everything's happening just in this one page. Uh, and I have 3 buttons and a list view. This list view is going to be populated from a text file that I'm first creating and loading, and then I have the ability to clear. Now the async task will handle all 3 of these operations, as I will show you in the code. So let's jump over to my Java code, which has all the standard things like on create options menu. Here with my class, I just had added a progress dialog, which is something that will start up as a thread starts up. We'll be able to see that. And the buttons, they call these methods as they have an on-click function. So the first one is create file, load file, and then clear file, which will manipulate what you see on the screen. And down here we have our async task class, which I have called the file task. And with this, because it extends async task, the interface requires us to override or be able to override a few methods, some of which are on pre-execute, do in background, on progress update, and on post execute. Now just a little background how async task works. We pass in a certain data type. We use a certain data type for updating, such as a progress bar, and the result comes out as a certain data type. And that's what these 3 different data types stand for. So I can pass in as many strings as I want in the beginning. I can use as many integers as I want to update publish progress, such as a progress bar, and I can get the result as a string. These can be changed to pretty much any data type that you want, or even a class. So as we start this, first it'll come down to pre-execute, and that's where I'll use my progress dialog variable, and we'll see how that looks. And here we have the do in background method, which is basically the core or the very heart of our thread. Now as it comes in here, depending upon what string I pass in, position 0, params, that's how I get variables or strings passed in. Now depending on what that string is, it can either create, load, or clear the UI, or what the user will see. When I create a file, I'm just going to write a file. I'm going to write these basic numbers to a file. If you want to see how that looks, this is the function I have for just basically writing something out to a file in basic text. And now the next thing is loading, pretty much just loading those numbers from a file, splitting them up and then using an adapter to populate my list view. And here we have just an example of a sleep, which helps my progress dialog look kind of uniform, and which will just go up 5% each time, and we'll be able to see how that looks. And then as that is all finished, the function onPostExecute will be called, and depending on the string that is returned as the result, I will use toast to show text just on the screen, and I'm just doing that like as shown down here, and we'll be able to see how that looks. Very important, the last thing I do is dismiss the progress dialog. If you don't dismiss that, that will just be running constantly and will go on forever until you dismiss it. So as you can see, it's pretty simple, and we'll take a look at what the app looks like when it's running. See if I've got this up. Okay, got my app here. It's going to prompt me. Here it is. Let's take a look what it's going to happen. Takes a few seconds. There it is. Now I'm just going to create a file. As you can see, my progress bar is moving. Everything's going as it should. There's my toast. Now I created that file. Now it's going to manipulate the UI to load the numbers from the file. As it did that, populated my list view just with my numbers there, and then I can clear them. And as I was doing that in AsyncTask, I was able to do that without my app crashing, which is really useful for things you want to do in the background, or loading images, or loading certain files or text to the screen, so that your app can do it in a timely manner and not hang up the main thread. So that's just the basic gist of it. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.